First up, we have a game called Once Human. Now, I have heard a little bit about this game via Twitter and other things. So, this is a multiplayer open world survival style game in a futuristic post-apocalyptic world. It says here, unite with your friends to fight monstrous enemies, uncover secret plots, compete for resources, and build your own territory. Once you were merely human, now you have the power to remake the world. Now, it looks alright, but the description and everything else doesn't seem particularly different or new here. It kind of reminds me a little bit of something like, I guess a lot of these looter shooter style games in a way. It's nothing like outstanding here, but I do like some of the way things look. There's more greenery here, weird creatures and things like that. So yeah, this would be something that I'm going to maybe download and try. Next, we have a more relaxing, more casual game, and this is called Tiny Glade. So Tiny Glade is a small relaxing game about doodling castles. So explore gridless building chemistry and watch the game carefully assemble every brick, pebble and plank. There's no management, combat or raw answers, just kick back and turn forgotten meadows into lovable dioramas. So basically, very relaxing, casual, you could say builder style game where you don't actually have to worry about resource management or anything. I've seen a few games like this. This has a very nice relaxing art style to it. I mean, it is a relaxing game and you're making castles here. Next we have The Altars, or just The Altars. And yeah, this is another game that I have heard a little bit about. This is a sci-fi style game which mixes a few things like survival, base building, adventure. It reminds me a little bit of the game The Invincible that I played last year, probably because I heard about both of them around the same time. It's also published by 11-bit Studios, who are also the people behind The Invincible. And yeah, this looks a little more ambitious and a bit more gamey. I guess that was purely exploration and narrative driven. This one seems to have a little more gameplay element here. It looks good, and yeah, this is something definitely to keep an eye on because I'm a fan of 11-bit. Their games have been fantastic. They have a wide variety of games, like the Thaumaturge came out recently. We've also had Frostpunk from them, this War of Mine. So they publish some interesting games, Polish studio as well. So I'm always interested in whatever they have. And yeah, this looks pretty good. Next, we have a game that I actually saw on Twitter a couple of days ago, and it looked very nice. Reminded me of a few other games, and this is called First Dwarf. So it says here, if there's one thing dwarves are better at than grooming their peers, it's engineering. Jump into your mech, build a base, and explore the crumbled fantasy world in this immersive action RPG. Will you manage to survive its dangers? It looks very colorful, it's bright, you have your own mech as a dwarf, and I mean, if you put a mech in a game, I'm always interested. So yeah, it looks pretty nice. And yeah, all these games have demos, early access game as well. So it'll come out on the 19th of June, so not far off now. Next, we have another bigger game and a little surprising, and this is Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn. So initially, we saw trailers for this game a couple of years ago, that it got delayed and stuff. Last few days, we saw this in the Xbox showcase, and it looks interesting. It is also not as expensive as I thought. It's not a full AAA game actually. So the price here, full price is $40. It's on a 10% sale right now at $36. In India, it's only $1,500, so resale price is also pretty good. It is also coming out on the 18th of July, so just a month from now, and we have a demo. So again, this is something I'll be checking out. It's a bit of a Souls-like with guns. Yeah, interesting looking game. It's got a bit of the ancient Egyptian feel to it, I guess. I don't know, maybe it reminds me a little bit of Assassin's Creed Origins or something. But yeah, I'll definitely have a look at this. Of course, you have the magical fox companion thing. That also makes it interesting. Next, we have something big, and this is Riven. Now, if you are a little older like me, the Myst Riven games were a huge thing in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, whenever these came out. Now, surprisingly, I had not played these, I had heard quite a bit about them, but at the time I was more into strategy games. I wanted to play stuff like Need for Speed, so this seemed like a bit slow paced for me. But now they're sort of making a, you could say, a remake or a remaster and expanding on the original game. This is basically one of the first games where you could say exploration, puzzle solving was a big deal. And this was hyped quite a lot. I remember reading in magazines and the list of top games of all time. This used to be very high at the top. So this one has a demo now. Game comes out on the 25th of June, so less than 2 weeks from now. Yeah, I'll definitely check this out to see how it goes and if this sort of game still holds up, I guess. But yeah, it looks pretty good and definitely something to check out if you are interested in the original. I'm sure the original is still available on GOG or something. Now next we have another game that I have seen on Twitter, the devs have been posting and stuff. This is called HollowBody. Now HollowBody, just by looking at it, reminds me of the PS2 era survival style games like Silent Hill or something. And this one, they say here, a tech noir survival horror short story set in the urban decay of a long abandoned British city. Solve environmental puzzles, manage limited resources, and fight for a way to escape beyond the wall. Sounds very interesting, looks pretty sort of retro, I guess you could say. And yeah, I like how this is, and it says it's a short experience, so probably like a 4 or 5 hour game when it releases. Yeah, I'm okay with all of that, so I'll definitely have a look at this and see if it's optimized well and if it's enjoyable to play. Next we have a game called Republic of Pirates. Now I have seen a stream of this by one of the YouTubers I follow, and this is basically a city builder with pirates and set during the golden age of piracy. So you're trying to create your perfect pirate utopia. If you've played the Assassin's Creed Black Flag game, you'll probably have an idea of what to expect here. But this is more city builder, and of course you'll have your naval stuff going and fighting and plundering and stuff like that, setting up your city. And it looks pretty detailed for a city builder type stuff. It's not just casual, it looks quite in depth here. So yeah, good mix. It could be interesting where you do some city building stuff, then you go and do your pirate stuff. So it could end up being a fun balance if they do it right. So this game is coming out on the 19th of June, so not far now, 6 days, less than a week now. Next up we have Tales of Iron 2 Whiskers of Winter. So this is a definite in my opinion. I loved the first game, really enjoyed that game, and this one is a sequel, straight sequel as far as I can tell. I haven't looked into it too much, but I know what to expect. It'll be the same 2D Souls-like combat, maybe a bit more story here. It says here, embark upon a vast, snow-ravaged kingdom in Tales of Iron 2, sequel to the critically acclaimed action RPG. As Arlo, heir to the Warden of Waste, adventure through harsh northern lands, home to giant beasts and ragtag bandits in an epic quest to overcome an ancient, blood-starved evil. So I'm guessing we are not playing as Reggie from the first game, it's like set somewhere else. But I suppose it looks the same in terms of combat and graphics. So yeah, definitely something I'll be checking out and buying at some point whenever this comes out, because I was a huge fan of the first game. Now next up we have a game called Vampire Dynasty, and if I'm honest, I had not heard anything about this game until I opened the Steam Next Fest page. And on paper this looks pretty good. It says here, you are a vampire, build a castle, manage your clan, and expand your hold over Sangavia. Develop your character, experience a dramatic story in an open world, and rule the land either alone or with your friends in co-op. So if you've heard of the game V-Rising, which is in a more isometric ARPG style, this one seems more like a normal third person, or is it first person? Third person. And you still seem to have the castle building element, managing your clan. So it's RPG with your character development, it's open world, it has co-op. It sounds pretty good on paper. So yeah, when is this coming out? They don't have a fixed date, but it says 2024. It has a good look to it. Alright, next we have Heat, Death, Survival Trade. So it looks pretty cool. Again, this is basically a game where you are managing and building your train, which is also your home, which is also your battle station, let's say. and you're gathering resources and improving it, but it has a more sci-fi futuristic look to it. I've seen games where you are like running a train and doing stuff and upgrading it. I think one or two games have been released recently, but this has a different look to it. It says here, Heat Death is a sci-fi survival game where you can build, upgrade, and customize your battle train to explore and survive a frozen world. The train is not only your shelter and vehicle, but also your weapon and ally to face hostile drones, deadly storms, and hidden mysteries of an unknown world. So yeah, pretty interesting. Next we have a game called Old School Rallies. Now I have heard of this game. I've seen clips of this for a while now. This is basically PS1 era rally games, like made again, sort of. So it says here, a nostalgic racing game that combines the charm of classic retro style visuals with the thrill of international rally competitions. So yeah, if you've played like the early Colin McRae games or something, this will feel very, very familiar to you. So yeah, if you're a fan of rally games and stuff, this is pretty straightforward. Download it, check it out. And then finally, we have a game called Chocolate Factory Simulator. Now, many years ago, there was a casual game by Big Fish called Chocolatier. I think they had 3 games. I played those games and they were quite fun. So I've always wanted to play something like that again, and this one seems to be a bit more advanced version of that. So enter the world of steam and sugar and become a master chocolatier in Chocolate Factory Simulator. Craft gourmet chocolate for your customers in your steampunk workshop with the help of your automaton assistant Nougat. So yeah, it looks like a casual fun game still. So you're making chocolate, and Scott, I think it's definitely inspired by that old Chocolatier game. It has the same sort of steampunk feel. And yeah, I'll definitely have a look. It's more in first person. And yeah, so we have a demo. Planned release date is 2024. That's all we know. But yeah, another nice looking game. So yeah, those are some games that stood out to me or I had heard of before. Let me know if there's anything you found interesting. Of course, there are hundreds and hundreds of games. So many city builders and survival style games and co-op, and there's a lot of Chinese games here as well. But yeah, plenty of options, and mostly indie games, but some bigger games as well. But yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you for watching, and see